So in the last class we discussed about SOD risk at action level and I guess also permission level, right? So SOD risk is like it is caused due to two functions, just revising, and two functions has to have will contain both actions as well as permissions, means T codes and then authorization values. So if you look for T code level, system will check for combination of T codes like this, like SEC4 plus this combination. If you look for authorization values, so then system will go and check for specific values like this. So if user has access to the specific values, authorizations combining with the authorizations of other T code. Okay, that's about the SOD risk at action level and permission level. Now let us go to the second type of risk, which is called as critical action risk. So what exactly is a critical action? As I already told you, action stands for T code and permission stands for authorization values in GRC. So if you convert that critical T code risk, so critical T code means if a user has access to any of the critical T code, so that is called as a critical T code risk. So in the last class, in the earlier classes, we have discussed about this diagram. Where is that? Okay, so this information we have seen in the last classes. Like under basis business process risk 1, which is caused due to combination of security and system admin, hence this is called as SOD risk. Risk 2 is also combination of client admin plus TMS, hence this is called as SOD risk. And there is another one which is called as critical action risk. It is caused due to only the T codes like this. So let us for creating a critical action risk, I need a function which contains all critical T codes in it. Okay, so let us know how to create a critical, first of all, a critical action risk. To create a critical action risk, first you need information under which business process you are going to create, and then what are the T codes in that function, and then that function, with the single function, we will be creating a risk ID. So let us go to system. Right. So let's go to NWBC. So to create the functions setup, under setup, access rule maintenance, under that functions. So click on functions here. So let us create the name. What I'm going to give it is, we'll name it as critical action function, and always following the naming convention because it would be easier for us to remember what we are creating. So what was the risk ID we created earlier? BNZ sec. Okay, so I will use this one now. BNZ underscore CAF. So here CAF stands for critical action function. And the risk ID which we are going to create will be BNZ. Right. Let me take the same name, BENZ underscore CAF. Critical action function stands for business process basis. And analysis scope I will be discussing in the last. Basis critical action function. Now I'm adding the T codes. So as per the document we'll be creating SEC 5 Okay, these are the T codes as per the document. Just similar to document SEC 5, SC38, SC93, SPR1, STMS. Okay, so those are the T codes I have added. I'm not touching the permissions here because this function is we are concentrating on critical actions only. So that is the reason I'm not concentrating on the permissions. Though they are pulled, I'm not making any of them as active. Okay, let's save this. Now with this function directly I'm creating a risk ID. So click on access risks. Create. And name it as BNZ underscore RSK2 because RSK1 is already existing, which is SOD type. Now the risk type which I am going to create will be critical action. Three types of risks: segregation of duties, critical action, critical permission. So critical action risk I am creating business process basis description. Right. Now adding the functions. So add the function which we have created now. So our function name starts with the BNZ star. So CAF. So by mistake, for example, if you add two functions, let's see what happens. Will it allow to save it or not? Let us see. And I am putting this under my rule set, which is again called as bench. Okay, now try to save it. Now just read the statement on the above, the error which we got here. Non-SOD risk BNZ underscore risk2 must contain only one function. So only when it is a SOD risk, system will accept two functions. Otherwise, system will not accept to put two functions under a single risk ID. So clear, everyone? Non-SOD risk. There are two types of non-SOD risk: critical action risk and critical permission risk. Whenever you are creating critical action or creating critical permission, only one function should be there. So let us remove the second function. And this is the one which I created, CAF. Now save it. So done. The risk ID has been created. The risk ID is BNZ underscore risk2. Close this. Now always remember, whenever you create a risk ID, don't forget to generate the rules. So that must be the mandatory step before you go out of the screen. So risk 1 we have already generated, which is of SOD type. Now this is the one risk ID which we created, BNZ underscore risk2, generate rules. Foreground. Confirm. So how many rules you get? Anybody can guess and tell me the number? How many rules we are going to get?
Based on the number of T codes.
Yes, exactly. So if you have 10 T codes, you get 10 rules. If you have 5 T codes, you will get the 5 rules. So these are the T codes. Each T code will be equivalent to one rule ID. So if a user has access to SC38, then that will show as BNZ risk2 and rule ID 0002. Okay, so there are 5 rule IDs because of 5 T codes. Each T code itself will become a earlier concept. Combination of T codes is a rule ID. Here the T code itself will become a rule ID. Okay, now let us go for testing. Testing in the sense whether this risk ID will appear to our user if user has any such risks. So let us run the risk analysis for the user for critical action risks. So user level. As I have saved variant in the last class, just I am selecting the variant. Done. So here I'm unticking these two and I'm ticking this one, which is only for critical actions I'm looking for. Now run the risk analysis for this user. Yeah, this is the report. User is having only one rule ID, that is 0001, under risk ID BNZ risk2, which is equivalent to user is having a T code SCC5. In this system, user is having a T code SCC5, and it is coming due to a role called as, the role name is also given here. This is the role name, XBS client admin bench. So because of this role, user is having access to SCC5, which is declared as a critical action according to bench rule set. And the user does not have any other T codes which are risk causing. Only SCC5 is the one which is causing critical action. Okay, clear everyone so far? So if you see the record of user, what does user have actually? This is what user has. bench user has the following T codes. So out of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 T codes, only SCC5 is declared as critical action risk under that function. So SCC5 alone is coming as a risk ID. Okay. So clear everyone regarding this critical action risk? So please let me know if you have any doubts so that I can go ahead with the next type of risk, which is critical permission risk. Okay. So let me go to next type of risk, which is called as critical permission risk. Okay, as I discussed about critical action risk, now to create a critical permission risk, we need one function which contains all critical authorization values. That includes authorization objects, authorization fields and values. So let us create the following function now, which contains BANZ underscore CPF. CPF stands for critical permission function, which contains following values. And then the risk ID will be BNZ underscore risk 3, which is caused due to this function. Right. So let us go and check this. Setup. Again, you have to create a function. Create. So you can type here the name BENZ underscore CPF. Basis.
Sridhar, I have one doubt.
Yeah, go ahead.
So here, function, okay, we were told that two function IDs are not possible in terms of this one critical action, right?
Yes.
So does that mean that one business process will contain only one function ID?
Yeah, it is enough. Only one business, under one business process, one function is enough to put all your T codes into that.
Okay, so business
basis,
process we can consider that
so you
one
can
module or one sales distribution module like that. So it will contain only one function.
So you have two choices. One choice is like, let me show you. Suppose if you say these are the T codes, enough, only 5 T codes are there in your system. Okay, which are considered to be critical. Okay. So what do? You create a function, you put all the 5 into them, and then you declare that as a critical action risk. Okay. Otherwise, sometimes what happens is within a functional module, for example, if I take HR, in HR I have areas like payroll. Okay. So in payroll I have some critical T codes section in payroll area. Like under organizational management, we have one more which is called as organizational management. Under that also you may have critical T codes. So now you don't want to club both of them. So business process is HR only, but you want to keep them separate. For example, okay. So what you do is you create two critical functions under HR itself. So like this, HR underscore payroll, PYRL, payroll function. This is a function you are creating. HR underscore org underscore org management. Okay. Now what you do, this function will lead to HR risk 1 and this will lead to HR risk 2. You can keep like this also. So here these two risks will be critical action risks. So this function is dedicated to this risk ID. This function will be dedicated to this risk ID.
Okay.
Getting my point?
When the risks are generated, system will not consider both of these together, right? Because of the type.
When the system generates, what do you mean by system generates?
I mean, when we generate rules, I mean, rule IDs will be generated based on the functions, right?
Yes, see, rule IDs are generated for a risk ID, right?
Okay.
So for this risk, what is the function? Only one function is there.
Yes.
So under that function, if you have 10 T codes, you get 10 rules. For this risk ID, if this function has 5 T codes, you get 5 rules. So the rules are dedicated to the risk ID, specific to risk ID.
Okay.
This has 10 rules because if that payroll function has 10 T codes and arg management has 5 T codes, it will have 5 rules. Risk ID will vary, right? The numbers will be same again. HR risk 1 0001, HR risk 2 0001. Rule IDs will repeat from the beginning again, 0001, 0002, 0003. But the risk ID will vary.
So it is possible that a business process can contain different functions.
Different.
But these functions are okay. Sorry.
Yeah, one business process need not have only one critical function. It can have multiple critical functions also. Not necessary, not one, but it can have multiple also. Okay, for your convenience sake, let me show you the global rule set here. This is a global rule set, right? The details, whatever we have here. And here we have functions. Let me filter by basis. Okay, if you see the risk IDs, you'll get more idea. Risks, types of risks under basis. Filter, basis, one filter, and second filter here is I am putting as critical action. See how many are there. So forget about these naming conventions. These are the standard ones. Basis archiving actions, basis configuration actions, basis critical actions, basis performance actions. So within basis there are so many functions: BS15, BS16, BS17, BS20, BS18, BS19 even. So all these are critical functions and these are critical risks. And all belong to same business process now.
Okay. Yeah.
Clear your doubt?
Yes.
Okay. So it is not necessary that only one will be there under one business process. It can have multiple. Like if they want to segregate, like archiving functions is one criticality, security is another area. So they want to divide. So they have different critical actions within a business process basis.
Okay, Studio. Thank you.
So going back to our system again. So under here, you have to note one thing. As I am creating, what is this? Critical permission function. The name itself says permissions. So I am not putting any actions. So directly I am going to permissions. But here the permissions is empty. Tab is empty. The reason is actions tab is empty. So only when you put actions here, the permissions will be automatically pulled. But I am not concentrating on actions now. I will be concentrating only on the permissions. And again, how to add them. So click on add, system first, and here permission group is nothing but the T code. Now permission is now nothing but authorization object. So now if you observe here, if you do not put SEC5 here, permission group, and if you search for permissions, the system will show you complete list of authorization objects in your system, right? So you want a specific object related to this T code. For example, I want this one, S_turbo_CLI. So that I am declaring it as a critical. Under this object, what is a field? System will pull the field values fields also from the table SU24 related to SU24. So this is a field name, client maintenance, and if that value is X, so then that is critical. So that will give access to edit the client modification independent tables. Now according to the document, I will go again. So these are the values we said: develop _CLI, ADMI, FCD. So let us put develop here for SE38, let us say. SE38 is for program maintenance. So the most important object for program maintenance is S_develop. Okay. So pull that S_develop here. It is already pulled, right? Okay. Now under this develop, what are the values which will give access to edit the programs, adjust the programs, etc. So activity plays a major role there. So if you have value 0, 1, you will be able to write a program, create a new program. So that is a risk. In production system, you should not write a program directly in production system. So that is what I am highlighting. So it is not only creation, even modification also is a risk, correct? So hence I will take here, copy the values. Here I just put here 0, 2. And the condition between them is or I am putting. If user has either 0, 1 or 0, 2, if he has 0, 1, he will be able to create a program. If he has 0, 2, he will be able to edit the programs, existing programs. Either if any of the value is there, that will be a risk for the risk from user perspective. So now you check, this is one set of values. So S_turbo_CLI client maintenance X, and the second set of values are these two. S_develop with activity 0, 1 or 0, 2. That is second set of values. System will check if user has this set, it will show as a risk, or user has this set, that will show as a risk. Okay. Now how many rules you get if I generate the rules for this risk ID? Anyone? How many rules I'll get for this risk ID?
Hopefully 2 risks.
Let us see. 2. This one, BNZ_risk2, generate rules, foreground, confirm, permission rules now, because we don't have T codes here. Permission rules. Sorry. Okay, I did not create the risk ID yet. Okay, let us create the risk ID first. Only function has been created. So I'm naming it as 3. So this is of type critical permission. Business process basis description. Critical permission risk. Add. Now here again I'll show you one error generally which causes. Suppose if you add any other function like critical action or critical SOD related function, I'm adding this one which is SOD related. Under rule set, I am adding under bench. Now save it. Try to save. So read the statement above. Function Benz underscore sec must not have any actions because you are creating a critical permission risk. Only it should contain permissions only. So you should take care. The function whichever you are creating for critical permission risk should not contain any functions, any T codes, sorry. Even if you put two functions also, first is it will not allow two times. Only one function should contain, and that function should contain only permissions, two conditions for this. So remove this and add the appropriate one, the one which we created. So this is the one CPF which was created for its purpose. Now save it. Data has been saved. Close. Now run generate the rules. So I have three risks total. Risk 1, risk 2, risk 3, which is of different types. First risk is segregation of duties. Second one is critical action. Third one is critical permission. So third one, foreground, confirm, permission rules. Okay, clear everyone? Two rules, two rule IDs based on the object name, and there is a relation between it and or. This is one set of values. This is second set of values.
And as we discussed, we got only two rule IDs, not three, right?
Yes, two only. Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Because these two are related to only one object, right?
Yeah, even I guessed it in the same way. Maybe it's the same object, so we might get only two rules.
Yes, exactly. So as it is due to same object, one object will be considered as one set of values. Okay, clear everyone? And exactly it will group based on the T code. For example, under a T code SCC5 you have highlighted two values. Then the two objects will be considered as one set again. So this object I declared it for which T code? SCC5. And this object I declared it for SC38. Suppose for SCC5 along with S underscore turbo underscore CLI, if I had activated or declared one more object, so that entire two values will be taken as one set. So based on the permission group, that is why the name it is name under this risk ID what function ID, we had that name as permission group. T code is called as a permission group. So that the T code will group the permissions as a set. Okay, so let us check now the risk analysis. If our user has any critical permissions, so deselect all, just select a critical permission. Run in foreground. No, user does not have any critical permissions. Okay, clear everyone?
And grouping of the objects based on the permission group, can we add one more T code which has the objects essence code develop or S underscore turbo underscore CLI?
Under that function you're talking about?
Yes. Can we add one such particular permission?
Let me
just to see how.
Yeah, let me go to the function. Okay, so here you can see this one, right? CPF, open. Yeah, tell me, what do you want me to do?
I mean to say, can we add a permission group which will include either of these permissions? I mean, tub underscore CLI or s underscore develop.
You want
Just to see
for
how.
same T code two objects you want, right?
Yeah, any T code which includes either of these objects.
Now let me add one more object for this only, SEC5 itself.
Okay.
So I'm adding s underscore tub underscore this as well.
This is possible, right?
Yeah, possible. That's just she wanted to see whether it is how that will take grouping, how that rules will be generated.
Okay.
Okay, SEC5 means deletion. I'll take 06. Okay, and the condition between these two values, what is the condition I have put here? And condition.
And
So user should have s underscore turbo underscore dis with activity 06 plus s underscore turbo underscore CLI client admin X. So that is and condition, not or. When only user has both of them only, he can delete a client. So for same T code, I have highlighted two values now. So this will be one set and this becomes again. So there is no increase in the rules. Only two rules will be coming again. So if you want to add one more, I'll just add SE93. So here also again I get s underscore develop. See what happens now. If the object is common again, the duplicate permissions, because it is the same value we are going to add again. Function contained duplicate permissions removed. Because for the same T code, for different T code, I am adding the same object again here.
but the condition is different, right, Sridhar?
What condition?
And or s underscore develop.
No, see this is one set of values, okay? This is one set of values.
Okay.
And it has gone to SE38. Let me put here 1. It is not. And SE93, let me add another values. Now it is saved because the conditions are different. So this set is one set, okay?
Yeah.
And this is second set related to SE38. Here the condition is and related to SE93 the condition is or between activity 01 and 02. 3 sets. So if you generate the rules, you will get through 3 rule IDs. Generate the rules from here itself, you can generate. Whenever you modify the function or risk ID, rules have to be generated. So 3 sets exactly. You can see the color differentiation, white, yellow and yellow, white, yellow and white.
So if the user has s_develop and the value as 02 and not 01, so 002 rule ID will not be seen, right?
Exactly.
For that user?
Yeah. He will not get 0002, but he will get 0003 will be appearing. Only 02 means, because we said R.
Okay.
If user has both 1 and 2, you get all both 0002 and 0003 will appear.
Okay. Combination means even the upper one and the other one also will
User has both 01 and 02 means this is satisfied. 0002 is satisfied.
Yes.
So it appears. And user again has 01 or 02 means again user has both of them. So 0003 also appears in the report.
Okay.
Right. So now let me run the risk analysis for the user. So I'm unticking all of them, only critical permission level. The user does not have, I guess, already. No, user does not have anything related to critical permissions. Now you take 4 of them: action level, permission level, critical action, critical permission, run in foreground. So by default, system will show you the first one, action level. And then you can change your report based on the selection screen. So this report is related to action level. If you just drop down this and select permission level, you will see the permission level risks. If you drop down this and action level, you will see the action level. Sorry, not action level, critical action. So this is a critical action, but user does not have any of the critical permission. So this is one of the main difference between 5.3 and 10 and 10.1 or 10. So in 5.3 version, if you want to see all the different types of these things, you need to go back, you need to unselect the appropriate one and rerun the report again. But here we have a choice of selecting all of them and then running the report at a time. This is one of the difference at screen level differences between 5.3 and 10. So in 5.3 we used to go back. First, suppose I want to see action level, first tick action level, then execute and then check the risks. If I want to permission level, come back to the screen, remove action level, tick permission level and then select run in foreground. That was the concept in 5.3. But now at a time we can see all the 4 types of risks. Just drop down and check it, which type of risk you want to see. Okay, clear everyone?
And in the previous screen,
Yeah.
we have a thing called format. It's given as technical view.
This technical view. Okay, the format is not related to technical view. See, format is related to this one.
Okay.
Okay, I'll tell you what is this also. Let me go run in foreground. So this is what you are seeing, detail format. So the name itself says detail, means very details are there. Suppose if you go to summary, this is the, what do you find here? You are finding the risk ID, rule ID and then the T code. T codes caused due to combination. You do not know the role, the function from where it is coming from, all those details are missing in summary. If you go to management summary, still less risk details are given here. Only risk ID and user ID are mentioned. and go to executive summary, only risk ID and the number of conflicts, so 6 is given. So the most detailed format or comfortable format to check all the details here is in detail format. You get maximum details in detail format. And this technical view doesn't matter because it has two views, manage business view and technical view. So when you run in business view also it doesn't change. It is the same again, no change. So major dependency is on the format, what format you are selecting.
Okay, sir.
Right. So any doubts regarding, so we have done with the 3 types of risks so far. Critical action, SOD risk, critical action risk and critical permission risk. Okay. And we have in the report, if you observe correctly, we have one more tick mark here, selection criteria. What is that? Critical role / profile. So out of these 4 options, we have been checking so far whether user has a T codes which are critical combinations at action level, critical combination at permission level, or a critical T code or a critical permission. Now in this level, we only look for a role. If a user has a role, then if a user has a profile, that is considered to be a risk. Not a risk ID, just showing that. Let me show you. So how to define them basically? Go to setup, critical roles / profiles, where to define them. And just under your access rule maintenance, you have critical access rules. So click on critical roles. So generally in our projects, there will be some roles which are not to be assigned to any user, or which we assign to only firefighter IDs, some sort of or some critical IDs. So that roles you can define as a critical roles. Or coming to profiles, SAP underscore all can be defined as a critical profile. So create. Okay, now enter the details here. In this system, giving the role name. So there are some roles generally which will be equivalent to your SAP all. So such roles we identify. Let me take an example. So this role, if I take this bench role as a critical, according to my rule set bench, critical role, just I'm saving it. Similarly, also let us create a critical profile as well. Critical profile. So in this system EC1, save it. So we have saved them in the system. Now when you are running execute this report, risk analysis reports, you can also choose that option. Now you have the provision to check for any if user has any critical roles assigned or critical profiles assigned to user. So user level,
For this, we no need to run we no need to generate the rules.
no need to generate the roles because it is only one, right? Only one role name.
Okay.
I did not create any risk also.
Yes, yes.
Just I registered that a role as a critical role. That's it.
Okay.
I am ticking here now critical role as well. Now search in or just untick it. All of them just to find if user has any critical roles. Yes, user has one critical role which is XBS client admin bench because we registered there that as a critical role. No risk ID here, just telling that user has a critical role. That's it. But there is no profile. For example, if I run my ID instead of this user ID here, run in foreground. So my user ID has a SAP underscore all profile. So it is showing that user has this profile. There is no role to me. There is a profile to me. So just looking at a very top level now. If user has this role, show it as a show in the report. If user has this profile, show in the report. That's it. So that is what we are checking here. Okay. So these are the total formats, types, 5 types we have. SOD at action level, SOD at permission level, critical action risk, critical permission risk, critical role / profile. So remaining options we get in the further classes, like what are these include mitigated risk, mitigation analysis, consider arg rules. So all those things we'll get in the next classes. Where do we use them and all those things. Okay. So that is all about the risks at user level. Now, what exactly is a role level? So before I discuss that, can anyone guess and tell me what exactly is a role level risk analysis? What would be the role level risk analysis?
In user level, we are checking whether user has T code or permission, which permission he has. While in case of role level, I guess we might be checking which role has particular T codes and permission levels, I guess.
See, which role has critical T codes, you said, right? That you can find it from SUIM as well.
Okay.
But here, in a role, if there are any critical T codes, that is the answer we get here. So in a user level, when you give the user ID, to that user ID, if there is any critical SOD risk, is there any critical action risk? Now, if I give a role name here, within the role, is there any SOD risk? Is there any critical action risk? That is what it tells you. So I'm searching for this role. For example, let us take the client admin role. Risk by process not needed. Risk level not needed. Rule set. Select here bench. Again, all the detailed summary, action level, permission level, critical action, critical permission, critical role, etc., etc. Now save this as a variant. Run in foreground. For this role I am checking now. So for this role at action level there is no risk. SOD action level. At SOD permission level also no risk. Critical action level, it is not coming. It should get actually here. Why? Because this role contains T codes SCC4 and SCC5. SCC5 is a critical T code. So this should be appearing here. Critical permission. Let us recheck the scenario. What entries we have given. Not check. Need to check in the backend. What is there in the role? Is that the role we created? So backend system I'm checking 200. I think the role name which is selected is incorrect. Client admin. SCC5 is here. So it should show as a critical action risk. It is not showing. Some problem we have. Let me know once again. So actually at a role level there definitely will not be a SOD risk, but at least a critical action risk should be there.
Role sync is not required.
Pardon?
Role sync is not required, no?
No, I did not do any changes, right, in the backend.
Okay.
Only if you do any changes, then sync is required.
Okay.
Some problem is coming. I don't know why it is not showing. It should show actually. So what we are trying to do is this role, client admin role. So within this role, there is no critical SOD risk because it is not combining with security T codes, so there is no risk. Only SCC5 is considered to be critical action risk because SCC5 is a part of that particular. We have to check in the function level now. Is there any problem in the function? Client administration. SCC5 is here. So this should appear in the report. Bench risk 20001. That role has this risk ID because it contains a T code SCC5. Let's run for another role if you see. So I have taken ABAP development BMW role. In this role, let us check if it has any. Yeah, this is how it has to show. So this role contains SC38 and SC93 critical actions. Hence those role IDs are appearing here. So in the same fashion it should appear. I'm not sure why it is not showing. Don't know what is the problem. We'll check it again tomorrow. So if I see at SOD level, so within this role there is no SOD risk, but there is a critical actions within that role. These are the two critical actions, SC38 and SC93. Okay. So if you see the document again, once again, individual role level, suppose this role does not have SOD risk. Security admin role also does not have SOD risk. But when these two roles are assigned to user, these two T codes combine to each other and form a SOD risk. And these two T codes, these two T codes, these two T codes. So in this fashion, when multiple roles assigned, the T code of one function combines with other T code of another function to form a SOD risk. So role level means within the role it checks whether there is a risk or not. So it is not necessary, because finally we have to check at the user level itself whether user has a risk or not. Even whatever utmost care you have taken to ensure that there is no risk at role level, but when multiple roles are assigned to user, we don't know for which combination will cause a risk. So that is a problem. So we have to mainly concentrate on user level rather than the role level. Okay, clear everyone? User level and role level. We do not do this profile level because we don't create profiles directly and we don't assign profiles directly to any user. And coming to HR objects, this is related to only HR security. Suppose when you go to HR security, we don't assign roles to users. Instead, we assign roles to these things: job, org unit, and position. We don't assign to users directly. We assign roles to position, we assign roles to org unit, we assign roles to job. So based on the position, the risks will be calculated, identified. So this is only used for HR system. And remaining, in all systems we use user level and role level. Only for HR system we'll get HR objects level. So these are the 4 levels of risk analysis: user level, role level, profile level, and HR objects level. Okay, so any doubt so far? Today we have seen all the 3 types of risks and the risk levels, risk formats, etc. So tomorrow we'll go to the concept of simulation. So simulation is also a very important topic from interview point of view, and conceptually also very strong point, strong topic. Yeah, any doubts?